In my opinion, this is a video I think people will want to see when we're talking about this vintage yard equipment and ways to go about treating it. I wanted to first introduce you to this because you ain't going to see much. I don't know how that shows up in the viewfinder. Made in the USA. It's a Craftsman. I have a blue one too that's a Craftsman. And I have another blue one that's made in Germany. When I go places and they have tools and stuff on tables for sale or close out things different places, I look for stuff like this, old stuff, because there are places that go out of business or people retire from a trade or a craft, and stuff like this crops up and I buy it. Now, refinishing old equipment. Here's a product I do endorse, although it can be terrible in the can. You might have to call Rust-Oleum and get fresh stuff. This stuff does not last. So if you're going to do a restoration, okay, like my yard man, this SC8, if you're not familiar with it and you're just catching this video, okay, preserving this equipment like that little shears, I cut this stuff up because it's like an octopus, so I can feed it into the machine. The thicker stuff I feed into the chute, the other stuff I feed into the hopper. But anyway, this little powerhouse, I got it going. You see, it blew a hole right in the earth. I finally got this thing, man. It just throttles out. I think I'm going to nickname it Throttle because like I said, I've seen those machines when I was younger, and I was kind of envious of people that had them. And I had the opportunity when this older gentleman called me. He had that on Craigslist for, I think, $100. And I was assuming that engine was seized up. And what the story with that engine is, folks, somebody put a brand new reman block on that. And somehow they must have got a different set of bolts from a different year, Tecumseh, or a set of Briggs bolts. I think Briggs and that will interchange, but they were that much longer because by the carbon that was inside that motor, there's no way it has any hours on it at all. There was literally no carbon, and the muffler that they had on there was totally plugged. There's no way that machine would have ran the way it was. Or the guy said he had it for 5 years, and he said the guy he got it off of was the one that put the new motor on it and couldn't get it running. Well, no figure. So this is a high solids. You'll get a lot of coverage out of this can. Okay, I endorse these products, okay, because they actually work. Okay, and this will keep on working. You can park it on the shelf and pick it up a couple months to a year later and it still sprays, unlike this stuff. But this stuff matches the best, okay, and you can get it in farm colors, okay. And if you really want like a Caterpillar yellow, Rust-Oleum makes the Sunburst, which comes closest to Caterpillar yellow, which brings me to this other company, okay, International Harvester White, okay. This is agricultural green, and they do make an actual John Deere green. This is Tractor Supply's brand. Now let me warn you about this stuff, okay? Absolutely, first warning, okay? Absolutely don't use no primer. Use primer. Absolutely use primer underneath all of those products. Now, the drying times, I can get this stuff to dry fairly decent. This takes about a day or two because these are all synthetic. This is actually synthetic acrylic, although it has a lot of, what they're putting in this is that soybean oil instead of using an actual petroleum-based oil, so it takes a while for the dryers to dry it. But this brand is horrible. This brand takes about 2-3 days to dry, folks, okay? And a little bit of sanding, a little bit of elbow grease. A sander, like an orbital sander, is a nice touch. Because like I said, if you have a nice, good running piece of machinery and all of a sudden you're going to go over it, say you're going to go over it, okay, and it's got to come apart. Well, then sometimes if the summer's kind to you and you have some time on the weekends, you can really re-outfit your machine and keep it looking new and running like new. You can't buy this stuff anymore. But it's kind of like the folks that come here to have, rocker panels repaired and rust holes. It's not free, okay? Because there's a lot of people, you see them, that they don't keep their yard. Well, you know what? There's a reason why they don't keep their yard, because they're slobs and they think that they're going to get something fixed for free. I got news for you. You're going to pay for it one way or another. Whether you do it yourself, you can do it dirt cheap. That's me. I've always been a go-getter, and I don't like trusting other people because half the time they do a half-assed job and it really aggravates me. But there's other people, they could pay and they could afford, different luxuries and have different things done for them. They just don't. And either that, or like I said, sometimes there's a lack of education in America. They've spent a lot of time dumbing the population down, and it has not been kind to our population. So remember what I just told you about restoration. Restorations, you can get close to some colors. I mean, if you want to just recolor a machine, just make sure you get all the same paint and whatever. As long as nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to come up there and say to me, oh, you didn't use Yardman red. I mean, what the hell? It's red, okay? Now, when you get into auto body, the paint's got to match, okay? You're not going to give a customer a red hood on a pink car or a pink hood on a red car, and it has happened. I've worked at a couple shops where, like I said, you don't know what you're buying in a can today, and the customer doesn't want to pay for your mistakes, and then the place that sold you the paint, they don't want to pay for their mistakes. You're just an idiot. You don't know how to paint a car. That's hurting America so bad these days. Okay? So doing things for yourself when you have the time, and if you have a problem, it's not really going to hurt you. The time to fix this equipment is not when you need it. It's times like we're having a stellar warm winter because of all the bombs and missiles going off over there in the Middle East. It's disturbing the weather. I'm going to make use of it because I'm afraid we're going to have a really smoldering hot summer. And that's not also kind to paint, even if you paint indoors in your garage or whatever. That type of heat, when it boosts the catalyst way up over what its BHU rating is, that's not good either. Now this stuff, it actually helps this stuff dry. The heat, I wouldn't paint it out in the sun though, because it'll be drying. I've had summers here when the shit's drying as soon as it's hitting the metal. It's almost dry. You pick it up 5-6 hours later, it's just a remotely a little bit tacky. It's almost fully cured. That's the type of temperature swings we have. But it's the best time to paint is in the summertime and in the heat. And you can just let it lay there, keep the bugs away from it, spray it in your garage. I don't spray anything in the shop because, like I said, lung problems and everything else. But you can get these products. Tractor Supply sells this. They also sell these, but they sell limited colors. And if you get the catalog off of the catalog I misplaced that I don't have in my video, they were kind enough to mail me their color catalog for this stuff. But sometimes colors become unavailable because I'm looking for a maroon color, and she said I'm going to have to find a supplier that might have some left. Okay, so that is my video on restoring this power equipment. This vintage stuff is gold. Taking out your credit card and throwing hundreds of dollars at this plastic Chinese junk, folks. Look for something vintage that's in fairly decent shape. Get a hold of a competent shop or a competent rebuilder. There's guys around like me. You just got to find them. And yes, it's going to cost money. Like I said, it's not free. Okay, but a shop, when they're charging between $70 and $120 an hour, that guy on the street corner is a bargain no matter what he charges you, unless he's an idiot. I do base my labor and stuff. There's plenty of times, because a lot of people ask the question to shops, like, they know guys like me could spend up to a whole day on the phone trying to track down a part, maybe 2-3 days. How do I charge? $100, $150. You know what I mean? I'm still working, and I'm still working for you, and I'm still trying to fix your machine. And finding obsolete parts, that's another nightmare. So in saying what I just said to you, think about fixing that vintage machine. It's sitting there all those years. All you got to do is get those numbers off that engine cover. They're on there somewhere. Some of them you have to take the covers off, because I think with the start of this series with this machine, I took apart this snowblower. Versus this machine, the numbers, the engine numbers that you need are stamped right on the metal cowl in the front there, and you can easily get them off. You just have to take the chute off. They're on the chute side, not on the side where they should be, where the carburetor is. They're on the opposite side. On the snowblower, they were down all the way underneath, and that's why half of this stuff sits, it rots, and it goes in the shit can. It was fixable the day it broke. It was just a part, but trying to find those numbers and stuff on the machine, that can be a nightmare. And that's why competent people, if you take it to somebody like me, why don't you give me $10 or $20? I'll go over the machine, I'll take the cover off for you, and then you can get your numbers. I mean, some people, some things are your fault. People just don't think clearly, or they think nobody will help them. There's people out there. I don't advertise much because I can't afford to advertise much, and that's just the way it is. Google and all of them are getting to be thieves. They want to make more money than you're making, actually do work in the tools. Hey, bullshit on that. So that's my message on YouTube to you folks. Buy a vintage piece of equipment, enjoy it, and take care of it. Thanks.